Have you ever felt that that relentless tug of war, between work and family stuff, or maybe that internal struggle where you know exactly what you should do, but your feelings, maybe your gut, are screaming something else entirely? It's a classic thing, right? Well, today we're doing a deep dive into this really ancient text that speaks directly to this exact experience. We're talking about Arjun's dilemma on the battlefield in the Bhagavad Gita, and well, you might be surprised just how relevant it still is.
Oh, absolutely. It really is. And our source for this deep dive, it's this fascinating book. It basically boils down the 700 verses of the Gita into like 365 daily insights. The main goal is practical wisdom, making this profound text work for everyday challenges. So our mission today really is to pull out the core ideas from this material, give you a kind of shortcut to navigate your own daily battles, whether they're, huge life decisions or just those times you feel completely overwhelmed.
Absolutely. Yeah. We're going to explore these core concepts, this ancient wisdom, and connect it right to the challenges we face now. The goal is to figure out how this, well, timeless advice can actually lead you to more peace, more clarity, day to day. Okay, so let's start with Arjun. On the Kurukshetra battlefield, he's facing this just impossible choice, right? Fighting his own family, his teachers. But here's where, for me, it gets really interesting. This material suggests Arjun's struggle isn't just his problem, it's universal. It's something we all face.
It really does frame it that way. The source material uses this great analogy. Our impulsive side, those urges that maybe aren't always helpful, they're like the Kauravas, named after, the descendants of the blind king Dhritarashtra, symbolizing that kind of blind mind.
Mm.
And then our self-disciplined thoughts, the ones guiding us right, they're the Pandavas, representing the intellect from the wise Pandu. And our body, that becomes the Kurukshetra, the battlefield, where this internal fight happens every single day.
Wow. And the core message then, coming through Krishna, is about that daily, honest look inside. Like consciously checking in, okay, which force won today, good or evil? Impulsive or disciplined. And the author of our source material, they confirm this was totally integral to their own life. It's how the book even started. They saw their grandfather, their father, keeping daily diaries, school lessons about remembering God, apologizing for mistakes each night. It's like a really grounded practice. Okay, that sets up this really foundational idea from the Gita. The body is temporary, but the soul, it's eternal, indestructible. And this isn't just, abstract philosophy. It has real practical implications for how you live.
Right. And what's really illuminating is how the material defines the soul. It's the non-physical essence of a living being. It talks about this continuous cycle. The soul keeps dying and keeps taking birth in new forms. That's reincarnation, basically. But the key thing is the new form isn't just random. It's an expression of desires carried over from past lives. This play of cause and effect of desires keeps the cycle going.
And the source uses some brilliant analogies to make this clear, like the ocean and its waves. You see the waves rising and falling, birth and death, right? But the wise person, they see the deep, indivisible mass of water underneath, that oneness, the soul. Or the moon's reflection in a bowl of water. The bowl breaks, the reflection's gone, but the moon itself, still there, just like the soul when the body dies. It even connects to science, Energy isn't created or destroyed, just rearranged, like the soul. And a simple one, an earthquake destroys a house, but the clay it was made from, it's still there, like the spirit when the body perishes.
So the practical takeaway for you is pretty significant. I mean, since your own body won't last forever, this wisdom suggests, well, don't expect other people or things to give you everlasting happiness either. The wise understand everything is temporary, so they don't form those deep attachments. We raise a big question, right? If the soul is eternal, what does that actually mean for our actions? How we live in this temporary world?
Yeah, that idea of impermanence is huge. But let's bring it back to, everyday stuff. If everything physical is temporary, how does that change how we view pleasure and pain? This material says pain and pleasure basically come from our senses interacting with things, objects. And the really surprising part, these feelings are described as transitory and impermanent, fleeting.
That's exactly it. Our brain is, well, conditioned to label sensations pleasant, unpleasant.
Yeah.
And if we experience something continuously, we just acclimatize, get used to it. The deep insight here isn't about avoiding life's ups and downs. It's about rewiring your reaction to them. Can you imagine being stressed but feeling calm inside? Not because the situation changed, but because your response did. That's the goal. Shifting from, reactive suffering to a kind of proactive peace by conditioning your mind to be less affected or even unaffected by stimuli.
And the root cause, according to this source, desire. It says fulfilled desire is pleasure and unfulfilled desire is pain. But the real kicker is that both attachment to pleasure and aversion to pain mess with our peace.
Yeah, think about a really simple example they give, like wanting specific blue walking shoes.
Raw.
You can get totally worked up, right?
Links.
Disappointed if you can't find that exact shade, let it ruin your mood. Or you can pause, realize what's actually important, needing shoes for walking, not the specific color, and just get a different pair. It shows how our feelings, our reactions bind us, becoming more neutral, less affected. That's what breaks the chain.
This wisdom also really digs into how powerful our senses and mind are. The source says restless senses forcibly carry away the mind of even a wise person. It's a constant battle, huh?
It is. And material maps out this clear chain reaction. It can spiral. Thinking about sense objects leads to attachment. Attachment leads to desire. Unfulfilled desire, that leads to anger. Anger can cause delusion, confusing the mind. When the mind's bewildered, reasoning goes out the window, and then you fall off the right path. The road rage example they use is perfect. A tiny incident blows up because of unchecked anger, ruining the whole day, all from a fleeting attachment to how things should have gone on the road.
Okay, but there's hope. The mind can be controlled. By fixing it on the universal spirit, though it's not like a quick fix, it needs conscious, regular practice, like building a muscle.
Precisely, yeah. The source even gives this powerful hierarchy for self-knowledge.
Mm.
It's verse 2.42. Senses are superior to the body. Mind over senses. Intellect over mind. Transcendental knowledge over intellect. And the self. That's superior to even transcendental knowledge. It's like you're the driver, your intellect steering a vehicle, your body pulled by these powerful horses, your senses. Learning to control those horses, well, that's absolutely key to steering your life where you want it to go.
That's a great image. And it leads us right into this idea of duty. Arjun was told to fight, even though it was against his family. And this material frames our duties in a similar way. It urges, fight this righteous war. It says failing in your duty means you lose your reputation and incur sin.
Right. And righteous war here means actions supported by wisdom and a clear conscience. Life is a kind of battle. Solving problems makes us happy, sure. But even just fighting the good fight, even without immediate success, builds inner strength. So the key is acting without being attached to the results, maintaining that mental equilibrium to avoid delusion. It's about playing your part, regardless of the final score.
So, okay, how does this apply to your job, your daily actions, your career? This brings us straight to Karma Yoga, working without selfish attachment to the fruits of work. The source says it clearly. A selfless worker has resolute determination for God realization, but the desires of the one who works to enjoy the fruits of work are endless.
Yeah, it clarifies this profound point. You control doing your duty, right, but no control or claim over the results. This doesn't mean sit back and do nothing. Action is vital. But don't let attachment to the outcome be your only driver. It's the difference between working just for your own happiness, maybe dreading retirement because you'll leave wealth behind, versus using your resources to help others, leaving behind good memories and positive impact. It shifts the focus from getting to giving.
Okay, this then connects to another big concept. The three modes, or gunas, of material nature, sattva, goodness, rajas, passion, and tamas, ignorance. This material says these modes fetter the eternal individual soul to the body. How do we, experience these? How do they affect us daily?
Well, each one pulls you in a different way. Sattva, or goodness, it attaches you to the happiness that comes from learning, from knowing the spirit. It leads to purity, honesty, wisdom, inner peace. You might feel sattvic when you're calm, focused, learning something new. They even talk about sattvic foods promoting vitality. Then there's Rajas, passion. This attaches you to action, to ambition. It often leads to restlessness, desire, maybe even suffering because you're always striving. Think of feeling driven, maybe agitated, needing constant activity. Rajasic foods are stimulating but can cause agitation. And finally, tamas, ignorance or inertia. This attaches you to negligence. It kind of covers up self-knowledge. It leads to ignorance, dullness, maybe procrastination or destructive habits. You may feel tamasic when you're lethargic, unmotivated. Tamasic foods are described as dulling the mind.
Wow. And the really fascinating thing is these modes are always there, always mixed within us, but one usually dominates at any given time. So transcending them means rising above their push and pull, and that comes from understanding how they work inside you.
Exactly. It's about developing awareness of which mode is influencing you and why, and then choosing a different response.
We've talked a lot about the inner stuff, the individual journey, but the text keeps pointing outwards too, right? To a larger reality, a supreme being. What's the Gita's take on this bigger picture?
It gets really interesting here. The material describes these eightfold divisions of God's nature. Mind, intellect, ego, plus the basic elements ether, air, fire, water, earth. And it makes this key distinction between God's lower nature, that's matter, and his higher nature, which is spirit. This dual nature is kind of the engine of creation. The source says this twofold energy, matter, and spirit is what causes all creatures to evolve. But the supreme spirit is the ultimate source of both their beginning and their end. The analogy used is like electricity making a light bulb work. The spirit activates the inert matter.
So what does that mean for us, practically? This idea of unity. The material says there's nothing higher than the Supreme Being, and that everything in the universe is strung on the Supreme Being like jewels are strung on the thread of a necklace. It sounds like ultimate interconnectedness.
It really emphasizes that God is the essence of everything. From the sapidity in the water, that unique taste that makes water, to the radiance in the sun and moon. The source puts it beautifully. God is the eternal seed of all creatures, the intelligence of the intelligent, the brilliance of the brilliant. It's about learning to see the divine spark in every single aspect of existence, recognizing that underlying unity.
Okay, but that leads to a really important question. If God is everywhere, the essence of everything, why do we humans stay deluded by various aspects of these three modes of material nature? Why do we get so caught up in the illusion, feeling separate?
Yeah, the source tackles that directly. It says, this divine power, Maya, is very difficult to overcome. Think of Maya less like a trick and more like a cosmic illusion, a powerful, subtle energy that makes the temporary seem real and the eternal seem distant. It makes us identify with our fleeting bodies and experiences instead of the unchanging reality within. Only those who surrender unto me easily cross over this Maya. It explains we often get too engrossed in satisfying our senses. Like watching a movie, you get so caught up in the story, you totally forget about the projector light making it all happen. We're distracted by the show, basically.
That makes sense. But thankfully, the Gita doesn't just point out the problem, it offers solutions, right? Paths to get beyond this illusion. This material highlights several approaches to self-realization, giving you different options for your journey. There's meditation, dhyana yoga, purifying the mind, withdrawing the senses inwards, then metaphysical knowledge, Jnana yoga studying scriptures, reflecting deeply to gain that solid conviction. And we talked about selfless service, karma yoga, surrendering actions to God, letting go of the results, which purifies the mind. And finally, simple faith, listening to spiritual teachers and diligently following their guidance.
And the source also introduces this profound concept, Aham Tat Sat. It's like a three-part mantra guiding you to union. Hey, Hum is the creative vibration. Tat represents cosmic intelligence. And Sat is the supreme reality, God himself. Chanting Aram helps cleanse impurities, aligns you with creation. Tat guides you towards selfless action, powered by wisdom. And Sat is the ultimate truth, the source of all good, drawing you towards perfection. This whole concept, Aham Tat Sat, helps you move towards that ultimate union.
So ultimately, the path, whichever one you lean towards, involves single-minded devotion. It's not just about knowing stuff intellectually or doing rituals, but actually experiencing the self within. Okay, so bringing all this incredible wisdom together, what does it mean for your life right now, practically? This material gives some pretty clear advice. It says, transcendental knowledge of scriptures is better than mere ritualistic practice. Okay, then meditation is better than scriptural knowledge. And finally, renunciation of selfish attachment to the fruits of work, karma yoga, is better than meditation. It's like a hierarchy leading towards peace.
Exactly. And it clarifies why renunciation of selfish motives ranks so highly. Because peace immediately follows it. It frees your mind from all that agitation caused by desires, by worrying about outcomes. When you let go of that constant need for things to be a certain way, this profound calm settles in naturally.
Let's talk about the qualities of someone who's achieved this. An enlightened person, a yogi, as the text describes them. They neither hate any creature, is compassionate, is free from the notion of I and mine, is even-minded in pain and pleasure, is ever content. It sounds like incredible inner freedom.
It really does. The source paints a picture of someone who is desireless, pure, wise, impartial, and free from anxiety. They've renounced the doership in all undertakings. You know, think about people, maybe historical figures or even some people today, who dedicate immense resources or their whole lives to helping others. Not for personal glory, but genuinely for the greater good. They kind of embody these qualities, acting selflessly.
And a really crucial point here is about the mind itself. The material states, one must be elevated and not degraded by one's own mind. The mind alone is one's friend as well as one's enemy. That's powerful.
It's a huge insight. Our mind is so often pulled around by the senses, tempted by desires. The wise person, according to this text, learns to control their mind and firmly prevent it from falling prey to the sensual desires. When you achieve that, your mind becomes tranquil. It's not constantly disturbed by things happening outside or even by old memories popping up. That's real mastery.
It may be the most hopeful message is that this transformation isn't just for a select few. It's possible for anyone, even the most sinful person.
Mhm.
If they resolve to worship me with single-minded, loving devotion, it really comes down to a genuine change of heart.
Absolutely. And to bring it back to Arjun, at the end of the Gita, his doubts are gone. His delusion is destroyed. He's ready to do his duty. This material really stresses that it's not just about hearing or reading these teachings. It's about seeing its impact on people, see how it changes a person's life completely. It has to be lived, experienced.
Wow. We have covered a lot today. A truly deep dive into some profound ancient wisdom. What really stands out to you from exploring these Gita insights? We've seen how our own inner conflicts echo Arjun's ancient dilemma, how understanding the eternal soul changes everything, and how detachment, letting go of results, can bring so much peace to your daily life.
Yeah, and if you look at the big picture, this whole deep dive really boils down to this.
Hmm.
True freedom, true liberation from that endless cycle of wanting things, getting them, losing them, wanting more. It comes from really getting the eternal nature of yourself, learning to manage your senses, practicing selfless action, and cultivating that unwavering devotion to the universal spirit. That path, ultimately, is what leads to lasting peace and happiness.
So here's something to think about. If this whole creation, everything we experience, is like an illusion, maybe a grand dream or a cosmic play, and the universal spirit is the dreamer, what part are you playing in this performance, and are you playing it with true awareness? Think about that until our next deep dive.